Well, hold on to your wallets, because the taxman cometh, and he's not here for tea and biscuits. And that's because, according to the Institute for Financial Studies, the IFS, taxes could be on the verge of a grand resurgence, rising to a whopping 37% of our national income by the time of next year's election. And of course, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to think that the tax collector has developed a taste for caviar on our money. It's a blast from the past, my friends. A blast all the way back to the 1940s, the time before even flared jeans were in fashion, and taxes apparently knew how to throw a real party. But the thing is, no parliament since the Second World War has witnessed such a tax hike. It's like the tax god themselves decided, let's give them an historical tax increase to remember. That'll teach them. And speaking of memories, can you remember that time when we all wished for a decisive and permanent shift to a higher tax economy? No? Neither can I. But apparently that's what's happening, at least according to the IFS. They've even got a senior research economist named Ben Zalnico to proclaim, this parliament is destined for a tax-rising extravaganza. It's like predicting a blockbuster sequel that we never actually asked for or wanted. But here's the thing, this tax surge isn't merely a coincidence of the pandemic. No, of course not. It's a result of decisions to increase government spending. You see, it's all about demographic change, pressures on the health service, and the gentle unwinding of austerity, or so they want us to believe. It's like a complicated dance routine choreographed by economic wizards. Or bellends. You take your pick. But next year, our benevolent government plans to collect a mind-boggling £100 billion more in taxes compared to the carefree days of pre-2019. That's roughly £3,500 more per household. And you just love surprises, eh? But I'm guessing not that sort. And of course, in the spirit of fairness, this tax bonanza of course won't be shared equally, will it? It's like musical chairs, but with pounds and pence instead of chairs. And in the midst of this fiscal rollercoaster, we've got the ever-so-charming Liz Truss, who's apparently urging her successor to slash taxes. Let's cut them down to 19%, shall we? She suggests, as if she's arranging some sort of discount at a Black Friday sale. The thing is, though, the public needs tax cuts, not rises, especially in the middle of a cost of living crisis, where, let's face it, even supermarkets think that the prices can only go one way, especially as they've been raising their prices to pea-taken levels. But let's face it, if tax gets much higher, then they'll be more like the Labour Party than Labour themselves, won't they? But anyway, the article says that a significant number of Conservative MPs have also argued that keeping taxes at historically high levels, particularly given the cost of living, is a political mistake. However, Chancellor Jeremy Hunt, who may or may not spell his name with a silent C, has warned cutting tax is virtually impossible, given the level of UK's long-term debt. The Chancellor has said that his autumn statement in November is likely to include even more difficult decisions. I guess we all know what that means, don't we? Despite the shortfall in inflation, prices are still rising, and last month the Bank of England also kept interest rates at 5.25% after the 2 years of consecutive rising, meaning the cost of national borrowing did not increase as some had expected. However, Mr Hunt said that the cost of servicing the country's debt remained higher than it was when he delivered his spring budget in March, meaning that there was no extra headroom for tax cuts. And of course I could be wrong, but what about that £12 billion extra that you didn't realise you had from the pandemic, or so I heard?